Hello and welcome back. In our last video, we built a continuous integration pipeline, which is essential for professional team development. Now, we will focus on a key feature for our client, Bluestone Industrial Components. We will address the sales director, Mrs. Gill's, request for better visibility into sales data. We will now build that sales dashboard using Power BI. To do this, we need the correct data. We already have an entity for the customer's account and tier, but it's missing the sales revenue data. Our first step is to create a new data entity that pulls every sales order line from the system. In Visual Studio, we'll start by right-clicking on our project, selecting Add, and then New Item. In the Add New Item dialog, under the Data Model section, we will choose Data Entity and give it a tier name, such as PBI SalesLine Revenue Entity. This launches the Data Entity wizard. On the first screen, we need to specify the properties. For the primary data source, we will select the SalesLine table, as this is where the individual transaction amounts are stored. We will leave the Enable Public API and Enable Data Management Capabilities option checked, as this ensures the entity is available for OData feeds like Power BI and for data import-export tasks. On the next step of the wizard, we add the fields. The sales line table has the line amount, but it doesn't directly contain the customer information that's on the sales order header. So, to include it, we will click Add Data Source. In the dialog that appears, we'll select the sales table as our related data source and click Add. Now, the wizard shows fields from both tables. We can select the specific fields we need for our report. From the sales line table, we'll choose fields like the line amount and quantity, and from the newly added sales table, we will select the customer account. Once we have all the required fields, we'll click Next, and Visual Studio will generate all the necessary objects for our new entity. With the entity created, we'll perform some cleanup and preparation before building the project. First, looking at the fields in the Entity Designer, we can see they have automatically generated names like SalesTable created date time. To make these more user-friendly for someone building a report in Power BI, we'll rename them to be more intuitive, such as Order Creation Date Time. Similarly, we can rename the other fields or remove a field if it is no longer needed. In order to sync the changes, we'll right-click on the entity and click on Update Staging Table. Once done, press Ctrl+S on your keyboard to save the entity. Before we build, we'll need to add some reference packages. This is because our entity uses some standard tables which rely on data types defined in other standard models. If we try to build without referencing packages, we will encounter errors like these. To address this, we can simply read the specific package names from here and then update the model parameters. To do this, we'll right-click our project and select Update Model Parameters. In the wizard, we'll advance to the Select Referenced Packages step. We can add the references we need, such as retail, ledger, tax, fiscal books, and source documentation types. With these preparations complete, we can now build the project. Okay, now that the build is complete, we can run the data synchronization. Just right-click on the project and select the Synchronize with Database. Sometimes, this process can fail, often with a timeout error. This is a common issue that happens because the services running the D365 application hold a lock on the database, preventing the sync from making its updates. To resolve this, we need to temporarily stop these services. We'll open the Windows Services application. The two key services to stop are the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Unified Operations Service and the World Wide Web Publishing Service. With both of these stopped, the lock on the database is released. Now, when we return to Visual Studio and retry the database synchronization, it will complete successfully. It's crucial to remember to go back and restart both of those services immediately after the sync is finished to bring the D365 application back online. Before we open Power BI, we can perform a quick test to verify that our new entity is accessible. In a web browser, we'll navigate to our environment's URL and append data, followed by our entity's public name, SalesLine Revenues. Seeing a JSON structure returned, even if it's empty, confirms that the entity was built successfully and is now exposed through the OData API. Next, we need to ensure Power BI Desktop is installed. We'll search for Power BI Desktop in a web browser and navigate to the official Microsoft download page. We will click the download button to get the installer. Once downloaded, we'll run the setup file. This will open the installation wizard. Leave the default installation settings as they are and proceed by clicking Next. Finally, click Finish. This will launch Power BI Desktop. In Power BI Desktop, we'll start by clicking on Blank Report to open a new canvas. To connect to our data, we'll click the Get Data button in the ribbon and choose OData Feed from the list. In the pop-up window, we will paste the URL to our environment, making sure to append data at the end, just like we did when testing in the browser. Upon clicking OK, OData Feed wizard will pop up. You need to select Organizational Account on the left and sign in with your D365 credentials. This ensures a seamless connection and makes publishing easier later. Finally, Just update this URL and click on Connect. Once connected, the navigator window will open, showing a list of all available entities. We will find and select the checkboxes for the two entities we need for our report, the BIC customer tier entity and our new SalesLine revenue entity. With both selected, we'll click Load to import the data into our Power BI model. After a moment, our two tables will appear in the data pane on the right. However, you might run into a common issue where the tables load but appear to be completely empty. This happens because Power BI pulls data based on your user's default company setting in D365. If your default is a blank company, Power BI will correctly pull in 0 records. So, to solve this, we'll switch over to the D365 Finance and Operations application. In the top search bar, we'll type users and navigate to the users page. From here, we just need to find our user ID in the list and look for the company column. We'll simply change this value from its current setting to USMF, which is the standard company that contains all the sample data, and click on Save. With that done, let's go back to Power BI Desktop to pull that data in. On the Home ribbon, we'll click the Transform Data button, which opens the Power Query editor where we can manage our data connections. Inside this editor, we'll click the Refresh Preview button in the ribbon. Power BI will now requery the OData feed, and since our default company is now USMF, you should see the data populate the preview window. Now, we can close this window. For the final step, we'll click the main refresh button on the Home ribbon. This loads all the rows from USMF into our report's actual data model, making it ready for us to start building visuals. Next, we'll switch to the model view in Power BI. Currently, Power BI sees our BIC customer tiers and sales line revenues tables as two separate, unrelated sets of data. We need to tell Power BI how they connect. To do this, we'll create a relationship by clicking and dragging the account num field from the BIC customer tiers table and dropping it directly onto the corresponding customer account field in the sales line revenues table. As soon as we do that, the new relationship window appears. Here, you can verify everything is correct. It shows the connection is from the BIC customer tiers table to the sales line revenues table, and it has highlighted the specific columns we linked. Notice the cardinality section. Power BI has correctly detected that this is a one-to-many relationship, which is right because one customer can have many sales orders. Since all the settings are correct, we'll just click Save to confirm the relationship. With our data model ready, we can now switch to the report view and start building the dashboard. First, let's answer the question, how many customers do we have? For this, we'll use a simple but effective visual called a card. In the Visualizations pane, we'll find and click the card icon to add a new card to our report canvas. Now, we need to give it data. In the data pane, we will expand our BIC customer tiers table and drag the account num field into the fields well of the card. You will notice that by default, Power BI shows the first account number. That's not what we want. To fix this, we will click the small drop-down arrow next to the field. From this menu, we'll change the calculation from first to count distinct. The card immediately updates to show the correct total count of our unique customers. Next, let's find our total revenue. We'll add another card visual to the canvas. This time, from the sales line revenues table, we'll select the line amount field. You can see that Power BI was smart enough to automatically set this to sum of line amount, which is exactly what we need. So, there's nothing more we need to do for this one. Finally, we will show a breakdown of the customer base. Let's select the pie chart icon from the Visualizations pane. This defines the slices of our pie. Then, to determine the size of each slice, we'll drag the customer tier field into the legend. Next, we drag the account number field to the values section. This correctly gives us the count of customers for each tier, showing us a clear breakdown of our customer base. Now, to answer the question, which customer tier contributes the most to the revenue? We'll use the revenue distribution chart. For this one, we will use a clustered bar chart. We'll place the customer tier on the y-axis and the sum of the line amount on the x-axis. The resulting chart clearly shows that the gold and silver customers generate the majority of the revenue, providing the exact insight that was missing. The final step is to make this dashboard accessible. We do this by publishing it from Power BI Desktop to the Power BI service online. Up on the Home ribbon, we'll click the Publish button. Because we haven't saved the file yet, a Save this file window pops up first. We'll give our report a name, BIC Dashboard, and click Save. Next, Power BI will prompt us to sign in. We'll enter the email address and click Continue to sign in. Once signed in, we're asked to select a destination. For this demonstration, we'll choose My Workspace. This is the default personal workspace available to everyone. The free Power BI service has limitations on creating new workspaces, so the default is perfect for our needs. We'll select it and click Select. The report will begin publishing, and after a moment, we'll see a success message. This window gives us a direct link to view the report online. We'll go ahead and click that link. This takes us directly to our dashboard, which is live in the Power BI service. The important thing to see here is that this is not a static image, but a fully interactive dashboard. For example, if we click on the gold slice of the pie chart, watch how all the other visuals on the page instantly filter. The customer count card updates to 9, and the bar chart adjusts to show revenue from only that group. We can click around and explore the data in any way we want. And with that, our task is complete. We have successfully transformed raw data from D365 into an interactive business intelligence dashboard. We've built a solution that provides our client with valuable, actionable insights into their customer base and revenue, directly addressing the sales director's need for better data visibility. Thank you for joining me in this session.